Hi, I'm Daniel Wong, and today we're going to be playing a deck that I'm calling Fires of Invention Turns. So this deck is playing a whole bunch of sweet new Throne of Eldraine cards, the namesake being Fires of Invention. So what does this card do? You can cast spells only during your turn, and you can cast no more than 2 spells each turn. Alright, so those are huge deck building restrictions right off the bat. It means no counter spells, well, at least in the main deck, and no spells like Giga Drowse, where you would want to cast it on your opponent's turn. What else does this do? You may cast spells with converted mana cost less than or equal to the number of lands you control without paying their mana costs. Alright, cool. How do we take advantage of that? First, there's Ancestral Vision, a very nice draw 3 suspend spell. And then there's Wheel of Fate, which is a draw 7 for both players. The other way we take advantage of Fires of Invention is with Savor the Moment. Savor the Moment is one of the cheapest extra turns in Modern. It's just 3 mana for an extra turn, but the catch is you skip the untap step of that turn. So normally this makes this just a very bad explore. You know, you spend your 3 mana, you get to play your land, and you get to draw an extra card, but you're not doing too much beyond that since you don't even get an extra combat step because your creatures are still tapped. But with Fires of Invention or As Foretold, you don't even need mana because you're casting spells off of your enchantments, so not untapping is not even a huge downside. As Foretold also allows us to cast Wheel of Fate and Ancestral Vision. Then to round out the extra turn package, we have 4 Time Warps, and we also have a Days Undoing, just in case we discard important cards to Wheel of Fate and we need them to win the game. So speaking of winning the game, we have 5 Planeswalkers that'll help us do that. Narset Parter of Veils works great with Wheel of Fate. Normally, Wheel of Fate also lets your opponent draw 7, but Narset means they're drawing only 1 card instead. Chandra Torch of Defiance is our primary way to win the game. She can deal damage both with her +1 and with her ultimate. We're trying to emblem her so that we can kill the opponent with the emblem. And we also have Jace, who's both a great source of card advantage and a great way to kill the opponent with the -12 if you need to. For the rest of the cards, we've got 4 Serum Visions, 3 Lightning Bolts, and a very interesting one in Brazen Borrower. So we're mostly playing this card for petty theft. It's the instant side of the card. You can bounce a non-land that your opponent has. But you can also use the Vendilion Click-like body. It's a 3/1 flash flyer that, interestingly, can only block creatures with flying. But you can use that 3/1 evasive body to just kill the opponent over the course of a few turns. Our mana base is more interesting than usual. So we've got 6 fetch lands. We'll get to why that number is so high in just a moment. 3 Steam Vents and 3 Sulfur Falls for a total of 12 lands that make red. We have 4 basics. These ones are snow covered, but there's no reason for that. And then we have Mystic Sanctuary, which is a very cool new Throne of Eldraine card. So this card has the Island subtype, which means it's fetchable off of your Flooded Strands, Misty Rainforest, and the like. It enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 or more other islands. So notably, this is just looking for the Island subtype, so that includes things like Steam Vents. And when this enters the battlefield untapped, you may put target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on top of your library. So for us, the best targets are Savor the Moment and Time Warp. Notably, unlike Temporal Mastery or Part the Water Veil, these cards don't exile themselves when you cast them, so they should be in our graveyard for Mystic Sanctuary to buy them back. We also have Tolaria West as the transmute land to go fetch Ancestral Vision or Wheel of Fate, and Mikokoro, which is just a great card to have when you're taking extra turns. So I'm starting off with just 1 Mystic Sanctuary because we do have a lot of non-island lands in the deck. Sulfur Falls, Mikokoro, and Tolaria West are all non-islands that don't count towards it. So I'm a little bit wary about having too many and having these enter the battlefield tapped. Another interesting inclusion we've got is Simian Spirit Guide, and we're running 3 of them. So the reason for Simian Spirit Guide is this deck in general is a little bit less interactive and a little bit faster than most turns decks that I play. So our play pattern is going to be draw 1 Simian Spirit Guide, 1 Fires of Invention, and 1 Savor the Moment, so that on turn 3, we get to slam our Fires of Invention, and then take another turn immediately. The reason for only having 3 Simian Spirit Guides is we don't really want to draw them in multiples. Casting our turn 3 Fires of Invention is great, but casting a turn 2 Fires of Invention is not so great. There just aren't really that many 2-drops that we want to cast early. Speaking of which, there are some notable exclusions from the deck that I want to talk about, mostly Snapcaster Mage and Living End. So Snapcaster Mage gives a card Flashback, which is an alternate cost. And the reason it's not in the deck is that Fires of Invention and As Foretold also give the cards an alternate cost, meaning you need to choose between using the flashback on Snapcaster and paying mana, or using the As Foretold and Fires of Invention, which you can't do. That means you need to pay mana to flashback things like Savor the Moment, which could be problematic if you just put it in the graveyard and didn't untap. And it means you can't use Snapcaster to flashback Wheel of Fate or Ancestral Vision, even if you have a Fires of Invention or As Foretold on the battlefield. And for those reasons, I felt like Snapcaster Mage just didn't have quite enough targets in this deck and shouldn't be included. Then there's Living End, which you could argue we should be playing as a one-of in the deck because we can fetch it off of Tolaria West, we can transmute for it, and we can cast it off of the As Foretold or Fires of Invention, just like Ancestral or Wheel of Fate, and we can use it as a board wipe. But my argument for not including it is we don't really even want to be an interactive deck. The interaction that we want is going to be earlier, things like Lightning Bolt, on turns 1 or 2 or 3, before we cast our As Foretold or Fires of Invention, or a card like Chandra that both provides interaction in dealing 4 damage and some kind of card advantage. On the other hand, Living End is basically a board wipe that you can only use once, but you already need to have the As Foretold or the Fires of Invention out, which I think is too big of a cost. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about that decision though, but I don't think we want it in the deck. Now let's get back into talking about cards that are in the deck. Let's talk about the sideboard. So we've got our 3 Thing in the Ice as our alternate win condition plan, a bunch of additional interactive spells in 2 Abrade, 2 Anger of the Gods, and 2 Engineered Explosives. Note that we can only tick Engineered Explosives up to 2, so it's not quite as good as it could be, but hopefully 0, 1, or 2 is where you want it to be. Then we have a very interesting new one in Mystical Dispute. So this is a 3-mana counterspell. Again, I think this is fine in the sideboard because there are some games where you want to board out some number of Fires of Invention. Plus, you might want to use the Mystical Dispute on your own turn, to protect your spells. You can use this kind of as a dispel, since it costs 2 less to cast if it targets a blue spell, say Cryptic Command. But it is basically just a mana leak rather than a hard counter. It's counter target spell unless its controller pays 3. So it does have applications against cards like Urza or Narset or Teferi. And it does have applications against counter spells for your own cards that you're playing on your turn. Like if you play a Fires of Invention with 5 mana up, your opponent goes in for the Cryptic, and then you Mystical Dispute it, you're probably in pretty good shape. I'm not 100% sure that this is better than Negate, in particular against Burn. We'd much rather have Negate, but we'll see how it plays out. We also have a Ceremonious Rejection for Tron, and Grafdigger's Cage for those graveyard decks. If you like these videos and want to support me, you can buy the cards you're missing on TCG Player using the link in the description below. And with that, let's jump straight into the matches. Alright, here we are for match 1. We've lost the die roll, but we have a nice card, or a nice hand rather, with Fires of Invention, 3 lands, Simian Spirit Guide. I think we're keeping. We're probably not going to transmute this Tolaria West, since we already have a Wheel of Fate in our hand, so I think that might be the land that we lead on. There's also an argument for leading on Steam Vents, tapped, just in case we draw like a Lightning Bolt that we might want to cast. Ooh, there's a Goblin Guide. This looks like Burn. We could be in a lot of trouble. Yep, there's Mikokoro. Yeah, this would be a lot better if we were on the play. See, we can play a fetch land to shuffle away a card that we don't like, but I think it's better to just discard a fetch land and try to save life. So I'm just going to play the Steam Vents tapped, try to draw a Lightning Bolt so we can bolt that next turn, and yeah, I think we're discarding one of these 2. So there's a Misty Rainforest. Yeah, one of the brutal things here is Days Undoing and Wheel of Fate are going to be very, very good for the opponent, so we probably don't want to cast that. Ooh, a Light Up the Stage, interesting. Let's see, Exiled Monastery Swiftspear and Skewer the Critics. Ooh, no land. Alright, we've got ourselves a chance. So at this point, there is a chance that we're going to want to transmute this Tolaria West. So I'm thinking we might want to fetch with the Flooded Strand in case we don't like the card that we're going to draw. And then on turn 3, we're going to play Mikokoro, exile the Spirit Guide, and cast Fires of Invention, and then probably Ancestral. Are we okay with taking the 1 life here, though? I think 1 life is going to be okay. Kind of a tough choice, though, but let's see how it plays out. Opponent found the land. Here's a Swift Spear. And presumably they're going to also skewer us after damage. Let's see. And the reveal is Sulfur Falls. Okay. Yep, and there's the skewer. We're down to 10 and then 9 off this Flooded Strand. Yeah, this isn't looking great. Definitely gonna need something real good, real fast, and we might just be dead. All right. So we're going to exile this, cast a Fires of Invention on turn 3. Would be nice if we had to Savor the Moment, but unfortunately we don't. So we definitely don't want to cast Wheel of Fate or Days Undoing, so let's just draw 3, see where we get. Yeah, that's not quite what we wanted. Yeah, I don't think we want this wheel. All right, here's a Swift Sword from the opponent. This is looking like a lot of damage. Yep, Bolt, this is 3, 6, yeah, that's lethal. Yep, 2, 2, 2. Make sure the opponent actually attacks with everything. They've killed us. All right, this is definitely one of our toughest matchups. Let's see what we can do in the sideboard. Not that much. So we've got Thing in the Ice is probably the way that we're going to win the game. Anger of the Gods is going to be okay if the opponent is on a creature plan, but I don't think we want to go too crazy since they are a burn deck. They do have a lot of burn spells. And what do we want to take out? I think we're taking out some wheel effects. I don't think that's where we want to be in this matchup. I'm going to take out 2 As Foretold since it's not an instant or sorcery and doesn't work well with Thing in the Ice. I think this is 6 enchantments, so we still have a lot of ways to cast Ancestral. We can even hard cast if we need to. You know what? Actually, I'm going to take out the 3rd wheel over the 3rd As Foretold. I think this is fine. Yeah, but I think taking out the 1 As Foretold is fine because, you know, now that we have fewer Wheel of Fates, you know, cards that we really need the As Foretold for, it's just not that bad if we don't draw one. But it's still nice to have a way to cast Ancestral or have a way to cheat on mana for things like Savor the Moment. All right, I think these other cards are too expensive, not quite where we want to be, so we'll try it like that. Here we are for game 2. We are going first. This isn't gonna cut it. All right. This one's kind of rough. I think we got to keep this. The question is, what are we putting back? I think the answer is an Ancestral. Yeah, I think it's an... we could put back the Time Warp. It's close. So the main thing is we're definitely suspending Ancestral on turn 1. Then do we want turn 2, suspend Ancestral, have Bolt up for a creature? Or do we want to just have a Time Warp in our hand for when we draw more lands? I think let's put the Time Warp back and let's have 2 Ancestrals. It's definitely a close one, though. All right, suspending that. Your turn. All right, there's a Goblin Guide from the opponent. Revealing. Savor the Moment. Okay. Ancestral ticking down. Right, we'll suspend this Ancestral. And we've got our Lightning Bolt for that Goblin Guide. We might need to bolt like an Eidolon or something, though. We'll see. Opponent has a Rift Bolt. And Goblin Guide reveals Snow-Covered Island. Yeah, let's kill this. All right. Ooh, there's a Thing in the Ice. That is a good one. So we could play it now, but the opponent could Rift Bolt it and then bolt it again. If the opponent chooses to do that, I think that's pretty good. It means this 8 up 6 points worth of burn. And against a burn deck, I think that's totally fine. If they don't do that, on the other hand, I think we're just going to cast Savor the Moment. That'll tick the Ancestral Vision down, so we'll get to draw a bunch of cards. We'll get to take 2 counters off Thing in the Ice. So even though we'll be kind of tapped out, I think it'll be pretty good. Let's see what they're up to. All right, just going upstairs. That makes sense. They've got 4 cards in hand. There's an Eidolon. That's rough. We were going to cast a bunch of spells. Yeah, this is a little rough because now if we cast Savor the Moment and then Ancestral, we're taking 4 off this Eidolon. It's kind of a lot. That would be going to 8. On the other hand, can we really afford to do anything else? Opponent has 3 cards in hand. If we just wait, we are going to get burned. Also notably, casting these suspend spells is not optional, it's mandatory. So we are taking 2 off the Eidolon and then 2 off the Eidolon the following turn. I think it's worth it to just cast our spells. Could be wrong about this decision, we'll see. Right, and let's see what we draw. So we can cast Anger of the Gods to kill the Eidolon, but that involves oh no, that doesn't. That involves fetching a that involves fetching an island, which is fine. We could cast Savor the Moment, and then we would get to flip Thing in the Ice, killing Eidolon and then attacking, but we'd be at just not a lot of life. Yeah, this is really rough, no matter which way you cut it. I think we need to get that Eidolon off the board, so I think we need to... let's grab just a basic here. I think we need to exile this and cast Anger of the Gods. Yeah, this is definitely rough though, because we're going to 5. Unless the opponent has a bunch of lands in hand, we're probably dead here, but we'll see. 1 land, that's the start of a bunch of lands. Oh, this is the start of us being dead. And we're dead. Alright, good games, opponent. See you for the next match. Alright, here we are for game 2. We've won the die roll. This one is very interesting. So this has a lot going for it if we can draw 2 lands. Then we get to turn 3 As Foretold plus Ancestral. Start putting stuff on it. We've got the Savor the Moment. We've got the Days Undoing. We didn't come here to not take risks, right? Let's keep. I don't think we need a red source just yet, so I'm just going to fetch a basic island here. All right, let's see some lands. All right, there's lands. Do we want this Mystic Sanctuary? I think the answer is no. Go bottom, top. All right. So notably, we're not going to suspend this Ancestral next turn so that we can just cast it on turn 3 with an As Foretold. Forced from the opponent and Ancient Stirring. What are they up to? Inkmoth Nexus. All right. That's not good for us. What kind of deck plays basic Forest, Ancient Stirrings, and Inkmoth Nexus? Is this Infect? What? Is this Infect with Ancient Stirrings specifically to get Inkmoth Nexus? I'm very confused. All right. Steel Overseer. Oh, this is Hardened Scales. Okay. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. Ooh, we've got a Brazen Borrower. Okay, notably, this says non-land, which means even when Inkmoth is a creature, we can't return it. So let's As Foretold, and then Ancestral ourselves, cast with 0 counters. Boom, we got a full hand. Right. There's a Welding Jar from the opponent. What land is this? Llanowar Reborn. Graft 1. Interesting. Hangerback Walker, X1. Okay. Probably going to graft onto that. Yep. So Hangerback with 2 counters on it. And now it has 3 counters. That's the big Hangerback. Yield. So what are we going to do? I think first things first, we're going to cast the Serum Visions off of the As Foretold. Ooh. Savor the Moment. I don't think we want another land. So I think we want to get another As Foretold going. And then once we do that, we can chain we can chain 2 As Foretold. So this turn, we're just going to play a land, cast an As Foretold, and then hopefully we don't die. Next turn, we're going to Savor the Moment off of mana. This As Foretold will have 2 counters. Then on that extra turn, we'll be able to Savor the Moment again off of the As Foretold with 3 counters. Yeah, that sounds sick. All right, so bottom that. Land tapped, and As Foretold. All right, so I'm never good at math with this deck, but Arcbound Ravager seems probably lethal on the Inkmoth. Hopefully we're not dead. We don't exactly have interaction anyway, so. All right, Animation Module, definitely one of the slower cards, so that's good. Arcbound Ravager. And making a servo? No, they're animating the Inkmoth. Okay. Guess they, yep. All right. Activating Steel Overseer, bunch of animation module triggers, but no mana for that. I don't think we're dead on just this Hangerback Walker, so that's cool. Okay, so I think this is just going according to plan. So we'll cast Savor the Moment for mana. Then here's something cool we can do. We can play the Scalding Tarn, fetch the Mystic Sanctuary, and put that Savor the Moment back on top of our deck. Not bad. Sanctuary. This targets Savor the Moment. And yes, we will put that on top of our library. Let's see, anything else to cast? Doesn't look like it. This is a real nice savory moment. So here's something interesting. We can cast Savor the Moment off of this As Foretold, and then cast this As Foretold. And then next turn we can cast Savor the Moment and then Days Undoing. I think we can also cast Brazen Borrower. Not 100% sure about that. We'll find out how that works together, but I think this will be pretty nice. So let's cast Savor the Moment with As Foretold. Then cast As Foretold with mana. Or actually, oh yeah, I guess next turn if we're casting Savor the Moment and then Days Undoing, we're going to need both of these. So if we're going to cast Brazen Borrower, let's cast Petty Theft on Arcbound Ravager using that As Foretold right now. Okay, that's in our exile zone now. And now we're going to our Savor the Moment turn. Right, land. And we will Savor the Moment, casting it off of the one with 3 counters. And then Days Undoing, casting it off the one with 4 counters. Oh, this is pretty sweet. Okay. I don't even think we want to cast the Fires of Invention at this point. So let's cast this off the one with 2 counters. Darn, this isn't quite what I was hoping for. Alright, I guess we'll cast a Serum Visions and then cast Ancestral. I was hoping for a Time Warp. Savor the Moment's still good though. Bottom that, top that. Cast a Savor the Moment. I'm gonna cast this Narset. So we already know that the top of our library is really good. So I don't think I'm gonna activate this. And then I guess we can just get rid of a Misty. Sure. This is really sweet. Alright, so we'll cast Savor the Moment off the one with 3 counters. We'll look for something cool. We do need to kill the opponent eventually, so sure, let's get Chandra. Cast the Chandra off of that one. Sell this. Do we want to cast Fires of Invention? I don't think so. And I guess sure. Let's draw 3. We've got a bunch of lands in our hand that are pretty garbage. Cool. I think we've used all of our As Foretold, which we have, and then let's discard 2 garbage lands. Right, here's a Time Warp. That's what the doctor ordered. See what we got on top. No, we don't need to draw more cards. We're good. At this point, I feel like we basically can't lose. Let's scry. No, I think I like Savor the Moment. Okay, and not even gonna bother using Narset. Right. So let's Savor the Moment. Let's let's Chandra. Ooh. Ancestral's nice, but yeah, sure, let's draw more cards. Ooh, there's a Time Warp. Wheel. Alright, we do have to be careful to not deck ourselves, but I think we should be good. Oh, I guess technically I should have waited until well, we've got the Chandra emblem and then 3 spells, so we're good. Alright, yeah. Not bothering playing optimally at this point. We're just gonna emblem Chandra next turn and then whatever. Right. Oh yeah, cast this. Alright, so this is important. Time Warp targets us, and then the trigger targets the opponent. Gotta get that part right. Alright, and let's cast some Simian Spirit Guides. This trigger targets you. Yep. And cast another Simian Spirit Guide. This trigger targets you. Nice. Alright, what do we have in the sideboard for Hardened Scales? Abrade seems great. Engineered Explosive seems great. Anger of the Gods seems okay. In that particular game, they had Arcbound Ravager, so it wouldn't have been great. It's also not great against Inkmoth, so I feel like 1 is a reasonable number to bring in. Thing in the Ice sounds good. And Ceremonious Rejection also sounds great against Steel Overseer and Arcbound Ravager and Walking Ballista, so a lot of problem permanents. Alright, this is a lot of cards to bring in. Now, what's coming out? Alright, my intuition is that they're going to have a lot of Nature's Claims, so I feel like calming down on the As Foretold plan is going to be okay. I think Fires of Invention is still reasonable to have. As Foretold really needs to stick around for a long time, or I guess, you know, you could cast a Wheel or Ancestral and then go off from there. But it kind of needs to stick around for a long time, so I don't think it's going to get the chance to do that. Whereas Fires of Invention, you know, you can cast real sweet spells off of it immediately. Real sweet spells being like, you know, Savor the Moment. What else to cut? One more cut. Guess a Narset, since we're cutting all of our wheel effects. It also doesn't really affect the board. Alright, here we are for game 2. We're on the draw. This hand looks okay-ish, I guess. I mean, we've got some lands, we've got a Savor the Moment, a Time Warp, we've got a Mikokoro, but most importantly, we've got an Abrade, so we can interact. So I think I'm going to keep this one. Hand's certainly not great, but it's reasonable. I think probably we're playing the Sulfur Falls on turn 1, and then we can Mikokoro on turn 2 if we need to Abrade. I mean, there's an argument for playing Mikokoro so that we can Simian Spirit Guide and Abrade, but I don't think 2-for-1ing ourselves like that on turn 1 or 2 is how we're going to win the game. Our opponent has mulled to 5 so far. All right, here we go. Inkmoth Nexus from the opponent and pass. All right. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go for Sulfur Falls, and then on turn 2, probably Mikokoro, and hold up Abrade. Phyrexia's Core into Steel Overseer. Alright, so do we just Abrade the Steel Overseer now? Or do we go for the Inkmoth Nexus or something more threatening? I think we just kill the Steel Overseer now. Inkmoth on its own is not a very fast clock. Even if the opponent has... I think I'm just going to get a basic island. I think I want to preserve my life total. But yeah, even if the opponent just has something like an Arcbound Ravager, because they multiply, if they're so low on resources, only 3 lands in hand, no artifacts on the battlefield, unless you're counting Inkmoth, I think they're going to have a tough time. All right, what's going on here? Hangerback Walker. And Arcbound Worker. All right, only 1 card in hand. None of these cards are super threatening. Do we use Tolaria West? Do we use Mikokoro? We kind of really want to draw Fires of Invention, so I think we're gonna Mikokoro. Yeah, if we can draw Fires of Invention, then next turn we can no, this will work. So next turn we would be able to Simian Spirit Guide Time Warp and then play our 5th land, Tolaria West, so that we can on turn 5 cast Fires of Invention and also Time Warp. All right, here's a Hangerback Walker. Yeah, none of these things are super threatening. I think we're okay just activating Mikokoro here. Oh, actually, I forgot about the Savor the Moment in our hand. If we draw Fires of Invention, we're in great shape. Although the opponent is holding their 1 card in hand, it could very easily be a Nature's Claim, so we'll see what happens. There's Fires of Invention. So what do we do here? Do we try to play around the Nature's Claim by Simian Spirit Guiding a Time Warp this turn, and then Fires of Invention Time Warp next turn? That gives us a lot of options. Yeah, because basically Savor the Moment is not very good if we don't have Fires of Invention on board if the opponent does have their Nature's Claim. Because if we just do something like, well, we're certainly playing the Sulfur Falls. Almost certainly. Probably not playing Tolaria West. If we just play the Fires of Invention and then cast the Savor the Moment and the opponent Nature's Claims it off of this Nurturing Peatland, we're kind of in trouble because then we're just drawing a card and we don't really have anything going for us. On the other hand, if we use the Spirit Guide, we Time Warp this turn. Next turn, we Fires of Invention and play the Tolaria West and Time Warp. Then we at least have 5 mana to work with. We can decide if we're like Mikokoroing or Savoring the Moment. Yeah, it's a little weird, but I think I'm going to do this. All right, we don't even need to the Tolaria West here, so yeah, I think I'm going to make the opponent have a Nature's Claim, and if they don't, then they're in trouble. If they do, we'll see what happens. We're still at a pretty healthy life total, and the opponent does only have a total of 3 power on board, so it's not too bad either way. They not have it. I think they might not have it. Ooh, that's a nice one. I think I'll cast the Savor the Moment first. Just want to make sure we get our extra turn spell in there. All right, and we're a little low on cards, so let's fix that. Fires of Invention does nothing, and neither of these is especially good. All right, we've cast our spells. We can go for the Shuffle, which sounds pretty good to me. So then we get to next turn play a draw 3. Vision, there we go. Yeah, I guess we could also have gotten Engineered Explosives, but I think we're just trying to go off here, so it's not too bad. That's a Shuffle for Jace. So I think we're probably going to do Ancestral first, then Jace 0, then Savor the Moment if we don't draw anything. So that. yeah, this is nice. I don't think we need these lands. And go ahead and shuffle those lands away. Getting, how many islands do we have? Only one. So Mystic Sanctuary is not good. Again, this is one of the reasons I didn't want too many. So I'll just go ahead and get a basic. Ooh, that's a nice pickup. Let's cast Chandra first in case we... oh wait, I know how to do this. We put a card on top that we either don't want or... Yeah, let's put a card on top that we don't want. So let's put Fires of Invention on top. Let's take an extra turn and let's exile the top. Perfect. All right. We've got a bunch of stuff going on. We don't need that. Going off. Got like 2 extra turns stacked up. So no, unfortunately, we don't want that Chandra because we want an emblem next turn. Plus ourselves. Yes, snow-covered island to the bottom. Unwarp ourselves. Sure, let's play a land. Sure, let's play a Serum Visions. We don't need this thing in the ice, but these are castable spells, so sure. Emblem the Chandra. Jace. Or whatever. We've got another extra turn coming up, so opponent is just dead. All right, see you for the next match. All right, here we are for match 3. We've won the die roll. Ooh, this hand does not have enough mana. All right. Well, this hand is good against Jund. Guess we'll keep it. Mystic Sanctuary I don't think is a card that we want right now, so put it back in the deck. And hopefully Ancestral Vision is good against our opponent. Okay, Snow-Covered Island, Arkham's Astrolabe. This looks like the Urza deck. Yep, Mishra's Bauble. And Mishra's Bauble, I believe, targeting us. Savor the Moment. All right, the jig is up. Maybe we don't want to suspend this. We don't have a Fires or an As Foretold. There's certainly an argument for not suspending there, but I don't know. We can transmute the Tolaria West if we need to. All right, Mox Opal from the opponent. Darksteel Citadel. 3 mana. No, 3 mana. It's a Healy. Oh, things can get real bad real quick with that one. Mox Amber. Wow. All right. Opponent's kind of going off. Emery, Lurker of the Lock. Oh my goodness. This is turn 2. All right. Not like to pay 2 life. Is there anything good in there? Got Mishra's Bauble, Urza, Engineering Explosives. I guess they've got a consistent source of card advantage. Here's our Ancestrals. Taken down to 2 and 3 respectively. Oh, there's a Chandra. Can't exactly cast her this turn, and she doesn't even do all that much, especially in the face of billions of servos. So I think the play that I'm gonna make is just play Sulfur Falls and Savor the Moment just to tick the Ancestral Visions down. It's not a great play, but it's the play I'm making. All right. So Ancestral's down to 1 and 2. There's a Wheel of Fate, so I think we'd rather have the land than the ability to get another Wheel of Fate. And then I don't know what we're looking to draw, but we got to draw something real good because the opponent is going to go off. Yep, there's an Urza. This is I know it says turn 4 over here, but the opponent hasn't missed a land drop. This is their turn 3. Yeah, this is kind of insane. That's an 8/8 over on the other side of the board. Also a Sigh, okay. Also a Mishra's Bauble, okay. So every artifact they cast is both a Thopter and a Servo, which means every artifact actually creates 2 mana. That's insane. All right, so I guess we need something like land Time Warp into, I don't even know, like Fires of Invention something. We need a lot of stuff to go right. But I think it starts with an untapped land and a Time Warp in the top 4 cards of our life. Well, I guess it starts with us not dying. Is the opponent going for an Urza spin or what? Oh no, a Sigh card draw. Oh man, that's insane. Every single spell is the two creatures for 2 artifacts for Sigh. The opponent just has billions of mana. And the opponent has not even cast Emery. I don't quite know what the end game here is, but I feel like if we don't win next turn, we're dead. And I feel like it's conceivable that we even lose this turn. I'm not sure how, but I could imagine it. All right, let's see. Targeting Mishra's Bauble. Okay, so they're just going for pure value here. Okay, they're drawing another card. Yeah, that's so sick. These servos just provide the 2 mana and the 2 artifacts that you need to draw a card with Sigh. So every single 0 mana card is a redraw. That's absurd. Well, redraw plus. This is also a Mox Sapphire now. Oh my god. Have you ever thought that Mox Sapphire just isn't good enough, so it also needs to say draw a card in it? Because, you know, this is turn 3. Let's see, Engineered Explosives. So that's another redraw. That was an Urza activation. Yep. So notably, this is a 15/15 over on the other side of the board. So we are dead if we don't win. All right, let's draw some good cards. Good cards now, please. Good cards now, please. I think we're dead. Let's see, what can we... Oh no, Brazen Borrower. Brazen Borrower. We can bounce this thing. We're still at the very least figuratively dead. All right, so we cannot play the Fires of Invention if we're going to Brazen Borrower on our opponent's turn. We also straight up can't play the Fires of Invention because we've already cast Ancestral Vision, so we won't be able to cast the Petty Theft and then we'll die. I mean, I feel like we're dead. Guess I'm just casting Serum Visions, and I don't know what we're drawing into, but that's what's happening. These don't seem like they save us. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna pass and then bounce the construct when they go to attack. I don't know exactly how we're gonna die, so let's find out together. Right, Urza activation hits Island. Right, Emery targeting the Mishra's Bauble. Mishra's Bauble makes a bunch of artifacts, pumps this construct. Combat. Bang with a bunch of things, and let's see, we want Petty Theft. Very important to cast the right side. That. Anyway. Alright. So, we're not literally dead this turn. Cool. Are we figuratively dead? What's going on here? This looks like another Urza spin, probably. Paradoxical outcome. Oh my god. Alright, I'm just gonna go ahead and F6 and let's let's watch this unfold together. There's Emery. Bunch of stuff hitting the graveyard probably. Healy, Paradoxical Outcome, yep. Alright, Mishra's Bauble. Mox something or other. Mox Amber. Mishra's Bauble. Somewhere else. It's basically in our hand. There we go. Alright. Engineer Explosives on 0. Maybe the opponent will mess up and blow it up. You never know. There's a Mishra's Bauble. They have 21 cards left in their deck. I don't know exactly what they're looking for. Oh, maybe they get the giant bowl thing. Can't believe I can't remember the name of the giant bowl thing where you gain a bunch of life and then 50 your opponent. Oh, Nexus of Fate. Okay, that's cool. I thought we were the ones taking extra turns. They did cast it, right? Cast Nexus of Fate, yeah. Alright, we're good. Okay, over in the sideboard, definitely Mystical Dispute seems nice. Engineered Explosive seems nice. Interestingly, I don't know how good Abrade is actually going to be. Pretty sure it's going to be better than Lightning Bolt. Because Lightning Bolt really only hits Emery. I guess we maybe want one or two Lightning Bolts still, but certainly a very cuttable card. Let's see. Narset seems great. What are we cutting? Yeah, I think we're probably not interacting with the Emery. I think we're probably just taking the bolts out because they're so bad against any card that isn't Emery. We need, what, 4 more cuts for these? Are we boarding in Thing in the Ice? Need to make even more cuts? Some As Foretold. Brazen Borrower seems great. Days Undoing resets the graveyard for Emery, which is kind of cool, but it also fills up their hand. So maybe we want to get rid of some wheels. Wheels are so good with Narset, though. You know what, let's take it a little bit slower. Let's take out at least 1 Spirit Guide, maybe 2. Then like 1 As Foretold, 1 wheel. Let's take out 1 more Spirit Guide. I'm very unsure about this plan. Yeah, just like going a little bit slower. I don't know. We'll see if it works. I feel like Thing in the Ice is too slow, but I could be wrong about that. Here we are for game 2. We are on the play. I don't know about this one. We need 2 lands, and then all we have is As Foretold, no payoff. Yeah, I think we have to mulligan. The fact that we don't have a payoff, I think, is what is the deal breaker here. All right. Stands all right. Now, what do we put back? I feel like we put back the Time Warp here. We're a little bit too far away from it being good, I think. We only have the 2 lands. So, I mean, first of all, we need to draw land to get As Foretold online. Opponent has 7 cards. All right, we're keeping... Yeah, I think we're just too far away from Time Warp. And then, unfortunately, we need our lands, so we gotta play this Tolaria West. Kinda rough, but what can you do? Hope the opponent has a slower start this time. Snow Covered Island into Witching Well. Huh. I guess that's pretty good when you have bajillions of mana. Alright, As Foretold is not a land. Alright, and I don't think our life total is especially important because I think we're, you know, either not going to take any damage this game or we're going to get completely destroyed by a giant construct. So I'm going to choose not to fetch on the Misty Rainforest just because it's so important that we hit a land. And we know that the bottom card is Time Warp, which we don't want to draw right now. There's an Emery from the opponent and an Arkham's Astrolabe. Let's see, graveyard has Mishra's Bauble. That's not good. But yeah, I'm not going to fetch here because we really need a land, and that's not it. So might be screwed. There's Psy. Yep, there is the Mishra's Bauble, making a Thopter. And another Mishra's Bauble, and land for us, please, maybe? Alright, we've got a land. I think I'm gonna shock one time so that we have a red for Fires of Invention. Alright, well, we've got at least something. If we could draw a wheel. I think I only took out one or two, right? Took out one wheel. Yeah, so if we can draw a wheel, then next turn we could Savor the Moment and wheel, which is kind of cool. I guess we wouldn't even want to do that since we have the Savor the Moment in our hand. But alright, there's Urza, so it's now mega trouble time for us. Yeah, there's a Witching Well. Yep, casting the Bauble from the graveyard. Casting Arcum's Astrolabe. It's a lot of Thopters. Yeah, opponent has gajillions of mana to work with. Drawing a card. And Witching Well off of an Urza activation. Guess they were trying to spin into Nexus of Fate. It's kind of cool that that's a modern playable card. It actually does seem very good in this deck. You just make a gajillion Thopters and then you swing with them all the following turn. Alright, I'm not exactly sure what the best draw for us here is, but maybe a land for Fires, maybe? Oh, there's Wheel of Fate. Okay. Maybe we do want to wheel this turn. So we could Savor the Moment and then wheel. Yeah, we're basically dead to a counterspell no matter what. So yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. Yeah, because next turn, yeah, we won't untap, so we won't get to cast the other Savor. As Foretold is only gonna be on 2. Yep. Alright, gotta draw something good. Well, Serum Visions at least lets us look for stuff. These are not quite it. We do get to put Engineered Explosives on 0, which is kind of cool, and blow this stuff up, but I don't know if that actually does much. We'll get to that when we get to that. Oh man, I forgot that we don't even have a an untap here. Yeah, that's brutal. I think I should not have tapped that land. Yeah, that was a huge mistake on my part, because now I think we're just dead to this. Yeah, otherwise we would have been able to Engineer Explosives and then blow it up. Although we're probably still dead to the combo of Sai and Urza and the opponent having wheeled, so any way out? Nope, can't activate the Engineered Explosives anymore. I suppose let's draw 3 with Foretold or with Ancestral and see what happens. I guess we could hit Simian Spirit Guide. No, that's not it. Alright, good game, opponent. See you for the next match. Okay, here we are for match number 4. We've won the die roll. This looks pretty decent. We are probably going to need to play that Tolaria West, which is unfortunate, since we would really rather transmute it for like an Ancestral or a Wheel or something, but let's see. Maybe we'll have a bunch of lands on top. Let's find out. There's a Mystic Sanctuary. I do think we want that Ancestral, and it looks like we're not going to have a red source for these bolts. Ooh, that Mystic Sanctuary being tapped is a little awkward because Tolaria West is tapped 2. Jeez. Do we double bottom this so that we can try to cast in As Foretold on turn 3? I think I'm going to get greedy. So bolts definitely bottom. I'm going to be greedy and put Ancestral on top. Alright, Urza's Tower from the opponent and Expedition Map. Could be getting turn 3 Tron. So I'm not going to cast the Ancestral. I think I'm going to play Tolaria West. I think it's unlikely we're going to transmute it. It's unfortunate that we've seen all 3 Lightning Bolts, which are absolutely garbaggio against Tron. Ooh, blue Tron. All right. Don't know what to say about blue Tron. Maybe I am gonna suspend Ancestral then, since now we have Wheel in our hand. Blue Tron has a lot of counter magic though. I think I'm not gonna suspend it. Alright, cracking the expedition map. No, not cracking the expedition. Yes, cracking the expedition map. Urza's mine. This is some nice art. I don't know that I would call that a mine, but kind of cool. Well, this is super awkward. Not hitting a land. Got all these useless cards in hand. I mean, it feels pretty dumb to just jam against blue Tron, but they do have Remand, in which case we do want to just jam. We're just not getting anywhere at all if we don't, and I think the opponent is just going to be at a huge advantage if we do nothing. So I think we need to just pray that somehow they don't have good counter spells, which is unlikely, but yep, there's Remand. I had F6 there because I was already prepared for the opponent to... what's going on here? Talisman. I was already prepared for the opponent to counter that, but I guess, strictly speaking, that was pretty stupid. I shouldn't have done that. Since if it had resolve, we would really want to cast an Ancestral. Yeah, this is not turning out very well. Condescend. Yep, that's a problem. Can't pay for that. Our hand is garbage. I guess I probably should have suspended the Ancestral a while back, but yeah, given our draws, I don't think it made a huge difference, but I think it probably would have been better to suspend in retrospect. All right, what's going on now? I think the opponent is trying to take a little drink. I think they're thirsty for knowledge. Ooh, Wishclaw Talisman. That's cool. So probably gonna lose. I mean, if they discarded, you know, the best card in their deck, surely we're gonna lose, right? Oh, okay. Maybe they just have a billion. Alright, so they're probably going to search for like a bounce spell or something so that we never get to untap with this Wishclaw Talisman, if I had to guess. Oh, Karn the Great Creator. Of course, now we just can't tap it. Right. Yeah, they already countered our stuff, so we literally can't do anything. Now they just get the Synth Lattice and we can't do anything. We would be able to cast spells if we had As Foretold or whatever, but don't. Okay. Blue Black Tron. So I think we want Mystical Dispute. We might want Abrade. Certainly better than Lightning Bolt, but I think Mystical Dispute is also way better than Lightning Bolt. We might want Thing in the Ice to try to get under their counter magic. If we play a thing on turn 2, I think they won't have any counter spells ready for that probably. Then maybe we want Abrade, but maybe not. One over here for now. Let's see, what are we cutting? I feel like Brazen Borrower doesn't do very much here. I don't really think there are that many permanents we need to bounce. Could be wrong about that one. I think shaving like... yeah, I think shaving like one wheel is fine. Let's shave one Spirit Guide. Yeah, I don't think we need this Abrade. Maybe I'm wrong about that though. Alright, let's try it like that. Alright, here we are for round 2. We're on the play. This hand looks nice. Let's see, I think we can suspend an Ancestral on turn 1, and then have it basically the same time as Fires of Invention. Nah, we'll... yeah, I think we want to suspend the Ancestral because the opponent's probably going to counter the Fires. So we will do that. So I think it's turn 1, just basic island, suspend... oh, what? Gemstone Caverns. And here I was thinking our Thing in the Ice was going to get under counter magic. But yeah, I was going to say suspend Ancestral on turn 1 and then, you know, get our Thing in the Ice in under their Remand on turn 2, but looks like we're probably not going to do that. I still think we cast it, and then our turn 3 would be, you know, oh, okay, maybe we can get it in through counter magic. This is insane. This is turn 1, and they're gonna have 3 mana the start of their turn 2. That's what kind of world are we living in? Well, let's see if they mystically dispute this. Nice. So next turn we can either Serum Visions or Narset, and I think since we're trying to cast Fires of Invention, wow, and they have 2 Tron pieces. This is insane. I think since we're trying to cast God, Tarn the Great Creator, it's just utter carnage. All right, keep in mind we've taken 2 turns, and we were on the play, and the opponent just played a 4-mana spell. This is some straight nonsense right here. Okay, that's. I think this is a way we can get around Mycosynth Lattice. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and cast As Foretold, since the opponent just goes, you know, Tron land Mycosynth Lattice. We would otherwise be completely dead. They probably still have a way to bounce this or something, but since we took the bolts out, you know, we're not drawing to bolt with Serum Visions to bolt Karn or whatever. Yeah, let's see how this goes, I guess. All right, looks like no Tron land. There's the liquid metal coning they got. Yep. They're gonna start murdering our lands. That makes sense. So we're basically completely dependent on this As Foretold now. Oh my god, collective brutality. That is collectively brutal. Yeah, this ain't looking good. All right, I don't know what we need to draw, but it's got to be something good. Does wheel count? I mean, the opponent gets a buttload of cards then too, but I think currently they're at an advantage, so I think we're just gonna go ahead and cast this. Could be a huge mistake. We could be drawing the opponent straight into a counter spell, so, or a bounce spell for this As Foretold, and then that'll just shut the door, because then it's play the bounce spell, Karn, get whatever thing. But hey, we didn't come here to not cast Wheel of Fate off As Foretold, right? Are we getting counterspelled anyway? Okay, that makes sense. Condescend for 0. Pay 0 for Condescend. Yes. They just want to. 1 mana scry 2. You got it. Yeah, so I guess Abrade would be good. We could get to kill this liquid metal coating. It was probably a mistake not to bring it in. Let's see. So we can cast another As Foretold, or we can cast Savor the Moment. If we cast Savor the Moment, we get to Ancestral, draw some more cards. We will have no lands, but we'll get to, or no lands untapped, but we'll get to play an island and then cast Serum Visions. So that'll be Thing in the Ice down to 1 counter. Basically need to hit some 0 mana spell, I guess. That's kind of a big ask, but I'm going to do it. We could As Foretold, but I'm too scared of our opponent's 7-card hand right now. I would rather take a risk on the top of our deck. Got a lot of draws with this Ancestral, so let's see. We played a land. Have we already used As Foretold? We have already used it. Okay. All right, let's draw some good ones. Oh, I miscounted. I forgot to count the saver. All right. So we at least get to... guess we're casting Serum Visions. And then... I guess we're casting another Serum Vision. Cool. So we're at least killing Karn, which is nice. Spirit Guide, no. Time Warp, yes. Hit Karn. And then I think there's an argument for not even for not even casting the Serum Visions off of the As Foretold. And the reason is if we get collectively brutalized again, we want to just have the Time Warp on top of our library rather than in our hand. I think that's fine. Now the question is, what do we discard? Maybe As Foretold. I feel like we might be casting this Fires of Invention at some point. Yeah, I think it's As Foretold. So I think we want the untapped land so that we can cast a Time Warp. Heal our As Foretold. Yep, that's pretty good. So I think we use this Time Warp as counterspell bait because the opponent is sure to have a bunch of counterspells, and we really would rather just resolve Fires of Invention. We are also hitting the opponent for quite a lot, so it's not nothing. Yep, there's a remand. And what are we discarding? Is it Serum Visions? Is it Tolaria West? I think it's Serum Visions. Could be Chandra. Yeah, we're probably never resolving. This is tough. Yeah, I think we have enough big threats, and I don't think we're gonna get to resolve this Chandra. We also can't really cast her. We don't have enough red sources. Ooh, is that the last one? Yep, opponent has Tron online. Okay. All right, no plays from the opponent. I like that. Where are we? I think we're playing Sulfur Falls. I think we're attacking. Yep. Heal, that's a little brutal. I think we're just gonna get counterspelled, so I think I want to cast 2 spells this turn. So I guess Savor the Moment. Huh? Alright, they knew it was a bait. In that case, let's go for Thing in the Ice, and then we don't actually get to untap, so oh wait, no, it does make sense to cast the Serum Vision so that we can at least see what we're looking at. Mystical Dispute, huh? That sounds like a good one to draw. Alright, well, the opponent still has many, many cards, but we at least are going to have... Oh, they have Tron. This actually isn't going to do very much because they have Tron, huh? Forgot that those Tron lands are online. Yep, there's another repeal. Mindslaver. Alright. I think I'm willing to concede to that. They're going to take 2 turns in a row off of our Time Warp, so... Good game, opponent. Alright, here we are for the 5th and final match. We've won the die roll. This hand looks pretty good. So this is a turn 3 As Foretold and casting Ancestral Vision. Yeah. Opponent has mold to 6. 5. Alright, opponent has mold to 5. If I had to predict based on that, I would say Tron. See if we're right. Nope, Wooded Foothills. And Basic Forest and Birds of Paradise. I know they usually say bolt the birds, but we can slow the opponent down by brazenly borrowing the bird, I guess. Certainly not the strongest of plays, but you know, we're gonna reload next turn off of this Ancestral, so not too bad, especially if the opponent is missing a land. Okay, well, Polluted Delta over there. Alright, As Foretold down, and then Ancestral ourselves. Okay. Well, we've got some Time Warps incoming. Bloodbraid Elf. Stone Rain. That is kind of annoying that Fires of Invention is, you know, counting the number of of lands that we have, but at least we've got As Foretold going. All right, so like I said, drawing Simian Spirit Guide in multiples is not very good. We can cast a Time Warp off of 2 Simian Spirit Guides. Is that worth it? Do we want to just put our Simian Spirit Guides on board? I mean, we can just cast a Spirit Guide. The opponent's Ponza, so I don't know. I mean, I guess we just want this As Foretold to go up. Like, I guess we just want to take an extra turn before the opponent can destroy our land. I guess? I don't know. This feels weird. There's a lot of resources just to take one measly turn. Alright, Chandra seems nice. Let's see. Chandra can go down and hit Bloodbraid, and then unless the opponent has another Bloodbraid, then Chandra's sticking around. Yeah, that seems pretty good. And As Foretold is 1 short of casting Brazen Borrower, but we would get to do that on our opponent's turn anyway. Alright, opponent, show us what you got. It is interesting that after all of those Simian Spirit Guides, it looks like we're roughly even on resources. Blood Moon. I think that's okay. Right. There's Tolaria West. Ooh. I like that. But I think what's going to happen this turn is we'll make some red and take another turn. And then cast this with As Foretold. I don't think we're going to cast that Tolaria or play that Tolaria West. Okay. Foretold taken up. So now we get to use the Tolaria West for a wheel. Only have 1 mana. We'll have 1 mana. We can add red, but that's not enough to cast a Savor the Moment. So maybe we just exile the top. Let's do that. This Snow Island first, I guess. Right, exile the top. It's wheel. Okay. That's nice, because then we don't even have to use the Told. Nice. These are some nice looking cards. Savor the Moment. Let's attack for a bunch. This isn't gonna untap, but that's okay. We're about to take a lot of extra turns in a row. Alright, so I think this turn we're going to play a land and then make some mana off Chandra, then cast Fires and Savor. Those are going to be our 2 spells for the turn. And then the following turn we'll get Ancestral and Savor. Actually, is being limited to 2 spells too much? Too much of a restriction? Nah, it seems fine. Wait, we can cast this with As Foretold. Oh yeah, that was silly of me. I don't know why I added mana there. Should have exiled the top, my bad. Alright, well the opponent's had enough. They were probably dead anyway. Next turn, Savor the Moment, Ancestral, so we get to look at a bunch of cards. Chandra exile, we basically get to look at 5 cards then. That's a lot. Alright, so Ponza. Don't really have good Ponza cards. I'm guessing Thing in the Ice over Bolts. Bolts seem pretty bad. Everything else, I think we just want to stick with our plan A. Fortunately, As Foretold and Fires of Invention happen to be very good against Ponza's main strategy, but yeah. I mean, we could board in a Mystical Dispute, but even then the opponent is probably going to have a reasonable amount of mana before get this online, so I don't think it's worth it. I think this is a case where Negate would have been a lot better, but oh well, it is what it is. Alright, here we are for game 2. We are on the draw. I really wish this had more lands in it. We do have Ancestral though, so we can draw into more lands. This is an incredibly risky keep against a Ponza opponent, but oh well. Gotta be greedy sometimes, right? Utopia Sprawl. Choosing red. Nice. Go ahead and take 2 on the Steam Vents and suspend an Ancestral. Okay, if we can just keep drawing lands for the rest of the game, I think we're going to be in good shape. All right, 3 mana from the opponent, and there's a Stone Rain. Who saw that one coming? All right, that is not a land. I think I'm going to go ahead and suspend this other Ancestral. I think I'll just get a basic since I'm expecting another land destruction spell, so I don't really want it to hit a Steam Vents. Yep, there's a Stone Rain. And here's our Ancestrals ticking down to 2 and 3. There's the Serum Visions that I would have liked to play if this was an untapped land, but it is what it is. Probably Tolaria West is getting blown up too. There's a Bloodbraid Elf into Birds of Paradise. All right, that's not so bad. We're going down to 14. Ancestral is going down to 1 and 2. Simian Spirit Guide is not quite a land. Let's see if we can draw another land. Nope. And these cards aren't land either. Rough. All right. Well, the pressure is not quite on just yet. They don't have an Inferno Titan or anything yet, so. All right, Bloodbraid into Blood Moon. That could be problematic. Now we need to natural draw into an island or something. We do have a lot of red, but we don't have a lot of anything else. And we are dead in 2 turns, and this is not an island. So we can't actually any cards. We needed another mana source, and then we would be able to get Fires of Invention down. All right, well, I guess we discard a wheel. Oh, we need to discard 1 more. I'm gonna not discard a Fires of Invention to not open us up to whatchamacallit? Surgical Extraction. I don't want this Chandra. I kind of want this thing in the ice. I feel like we're not really gonna have a chance to get either. I'm gonna discard the Chandra. I don't know. But we basically need to dodge everything. We need the opponent to have just mono lands in hand. Primal Command. Alright, well that's going to be hugely problematic. We now need Mana Monkey. And oh yeah, even if we get Mana Monkey, we can only play 1 land, so we can't even Savor the Moment. Alright, we're dead. Let's try this again, but on the play. We want to keep in Lightning Bolts for birds. I think it's reasonable. I'll board in like 2 bolts over. I think Jace is going to be hard to play when they're destroying our stuff, and it's not a Fires of Invention. And Brazen Borrower seems kind of medium. Okay, let's try it like that. All right, here we are for game 3. We are going first. This seems pretty all right to me. So turn 1, suspend Ancestral. Turn 2, Thing in the Ice. Turn 3, our lands probably start blowing up, but I think that's going to be okay. Yes, we want to suspend this Ancestral because it's going to be tough for us to get this Fires of Invention down when our lands are being destroyed. Suspending Ancestral, and your go. All right, Arbor Elf from the opponent. Ancestral ticking down. Another Fires of Invention. All right, well, let's just get this Thing in the Ice on board. I suspect our lands are blowing up. Windswept Heath into Stomping Ground untapped, and this looks like a Stone Rain. It's a Blood Moon. Okay. That's less bad than a Stone Rain, given that we were looking to Fires of Invention anyway. But let's see what happens now. I am a little surprised that the opponent kept in Blood Moon against us. We're a 4 basic, 6 fetch land deck. Maybe that's good enough. I don't know. Double Blood Moon. All right, we're mooned double bloodily. We've drawn as many Fires of Invention as we have lands. Ancestral is going to come off next turn. Really wish we had drawn a land there though, but I guess the opponent was short on mana also. Oh, okay. I'm not gonna block. This looks like bolt bait to me. They got in their free point of damage. Whatever. All right, let's draw something good. Something good. Are you serious? Okay. Oh my god. We've drawn more Fires of Invention than we've drawn lands, so that's cool. I think we're getting... Oh, Rurik-Thar. Alright, I guess we lose. Let's see. Yeah, I guess that was a mistake. Boarding out Jace and Brazen Borrower are, you know, ways to deal with this. Alright, good game, opponent. So this was a pretty rough league. We went 1-4. We lost to Burn, we beat Hardened Scales, then we lost to Paradoxical Outcome, Blue-Black Tron, and Ponza. So Burn is just a tough matchup, and especially since our sideboard has these mystical disputes instead of negate, which is one of our best cards in the Burn matchup. It's definitely reasonable that we lost to a very tough matchup. Then in those other matches, it definitely felt like we had consistency issues. This deck really needs both of its A and B to work, your As Foretold or your Fires of Invention, plus your payoff, the Wheel of Fate or Ancestral Vision. So I think one way to improve the consistency there is to add more cantrips. So you could replace maybe some lightning bolts, maybe the Brazen Borrower with things like Opt. For example, in that match against Blue-Black Tron, where we had a bunch of lightning bolts in our hands that were doing basically nothing, if those had been opts, maybe we could have drawn some lands and then reasonably cast the cards in our hand, rather than being stuck with, 7 unreasonable spells in our hand. Over in the mana base, we also had some consistency issues. Having tap lands could be a huge liability, as we saw a couple times with Tolaria West, so maybe 2 is too many. I think 1 Mystic Sanctuary is the right number. This deck has 13 other islands or fetch lands, and that's kind of not quite enough to justify the second Mystic Sanctuary, I think. But in other builds of Taking Turns that have many more islands, I think it's reasonable to add a second or third Mystic Sanctuary. I think 4 is overkill, though. You probably just want some more fetch lands to fetch it out instead of your 4th Sanctuary. It's possible that some of our Simian Spirit Guides should have just been lands. There was that time I pitched a bunch of Spirit Guides just to cast some early time warps. That one felt pretty bad. For this particular type of deck with Fires of Invention, I think it's reasonable to have some kind of acceleration, but yeah, having too many Spirit Guides I think is a liability. Over in the sideboard, Mystical Dispute was not quite as good as I wanted it to be. We didn't get to see it in action against the Paradoxical Outcome deck, but I think it was pretty good there. And against Blue Tron, it would have been better as just negate, since being a soft counter against a Tron deck is not quite where you want to be. I do think the card is probably pretty reasonable, but you probably still want some negates in the sideboard too, or some other counterspell. I think just Mystical Dispute is not good enough. Yeah, so even though this deck didn't perform so well in that league, it was a blast to play when we got to go off with the Fires of Invention and just cast our Savor the Moments without caring that we're not untapping. That was fantastic. So if you want to build a deck like this for your FNM, I highly recommend it. I don't think it's quite competitive enough to play at a big tournament though. But in any case, I hope you enjoyed watching, and I'll see you for the next video.